All right, guys, what's up, team? Yeah, so the U.S. government officially shut down last night at 12:01 p.m. or a.m. I should say, Eastern Standard Time. We still have the prelim NFP data called the ADP non-farm employment change data today. I'm pretty sure the labor report's getting pushed back. And yeah, government's officially shut down. Gold is elevated. It hit 39.2270s all-time highs this morning. Again, I think it's headed towards that 4,000 level like we talked about a lot yesterday. I think that thesis made a lot of sense. And yeah, gold is up today. We got the S&P 500 at 6705s. The NASDAQ's been pushing. And yeah, we'll see if we get a rebound in gold. I think gold wants to test that level. A lot of the time, though, like I said yesterday, going into the shutdown, a lot of the time we react negatively. And then after the shutdown, a lot of the time we actually end green, believe it or not. We didn't get the biggest negative reaction leading into the government shutdown this time, though. We got somewhat of one, though. The E-mini broke down, the S&P E-mini broke down to 6680 early this morning at like 2:30. Yeah, gold spiked up. So all that stuff's pretty predictable, but here we are. Government shutdown. We'll see when they resume it. I'm hoping it doesn't last too long. We'll see what happens, though. Let's do a poll. Will this U.S. government shutdown last longer? 7 days. Yes or no? Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. We got that poll live. Yeah, where's Bitcoin at? I know people were speculating on Bitcoin's reaction to this. Bitcoin pumped up. It's up to 117,530s this morning. Yeah, so Bitcoin ripping up, which is good. NASDAQ up to 24s. The NASDAQ filled this whole gap. You can see the drop that happened right after the shutdown. NASDAQ ended up pushing up. Oh, I misspelled calls here. To fix this. There we go. Yeah, with the U.S. government shut down, investors, they're kind of shifting capital into Bitcoin, perceived non-correlation, independent of government policies. So, due to the fiscal uncertainty, crypto did rally. Bitcoin up to 117s, which is good. A lot of people are arguing that the U.S. government shutdown is more dovish for equities, more dovish for rates. And I think there's a chance. I think it makes sense in that context because, like, with the way you have to look at it is that right now, prior to the shutdown, the likelihood of a 25 basis point cut was like 92%. With no data to guide them, you know, I guess they're probably going to have to go with this 94% expectation now. They don't really have any data that could sway this outlook with rates, if that makes sense, right? And so they're going to probably go with the most probable thing now, which at this point is a 95% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So here's a 25 cut. This would be a pause right here, about a 5% chance of a pause next month, or this month, actually. If we take a look at yields, treasury yields are a little lower on this sentiment, I think, as well. But actually, yields originally spiked up. So yields dropped all the way to the end of the day yesterday. Got down to almost 4%, 4.11%. And then they actually spiked a little bit this morning here, if you look at it. So yields are elevated this morning, but down net overall. They're at 4.14%. And yeah, gold 3,900s. We also had Nike release earnings. Nike is rising after beating revenue and earnings expectation. Occidental Petroleum is up on takeover rumors. And AppLovin, Pfizer, volatile after the press spoke about them yesterday. Faye, Ryan, Jesse, Heavy Duty, Carlos, Joker, Fox, Raisin, On, Marco, Amor, Kev, Ray, Trader, Ace, MD, Green, Journey, Michael. What's up, chat? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good this morning. Yeah, government shutdown. We got the ADP non-farm employment change data actually coming out in an hour. So we'll get ready to watch that for sure. Yeah, gold looking like it wants 4,000. I don't know if it's gonna hit it today, but I think gold wants 4,000. It's so close to 4K. I think once it breaks 4K, it might actually come back down some, depending on, I don't know how much it might break it, but I think gold wants 4,000. Oh. I think everybody wants 4,000 for gold right now. We had some news. We had NBA 30-year mortgage rates come out earlier. We also had the U.S. Energy Information Admin said they will be able to operate for a period of time during the lapse. Until further notice, the website will continue to be updated. Publications will continue to be released. Yeah, so again, this is going to pause the September employment report, non-farm payrolls, and jobless claims. So no jobless claims tomorrow. Department of Labor put out a contingency plan that stated, quote, economic data that are scheduled to be released during this lapse will not be released. The BLS website and operations could be taken offline or not updated. But again, the U.S. Energy info. We'll still get like the weekly petroleum status report, natty gas report, short-term outlook, energy report, and other key publications about oil. We got 30-year NBA mortgage rates show up a little bit higher than last time. They showed up at 6.46% versus 6.34% last time. So gold looks to be in a pretty tight range, but it's trying to move. Yeah, and we also, again, we're not going to get jobless claims. We're not going to get the non-farm payroll reports. If it continues too long, we're not going to get the CPI report. So yeah, NFP is not coming out on Friday. We're not going to get the non-farm payroll report. Even if we resume, I still don't think we're going to get it. Essentially, what I'm seeing is the nearest timeline is they're trying to work a deal out for the weekend, over the weekend. And so most likely what's going to happen is we will get the NFP report next week instead. Yeah, so it's looking like next week is when we're going to get the NFP report. If they get a deal done over the weekend, probably. Yeah, next week is honestly pretty light for economic reports, and so I get up at like 5:30 Central Time. It's not 6:30. Yeah, it is 6:30 my time actually. Yeah, it's 6:30. I mean, rip and rich, yeah, we would. Like most of these government shutdowns are just due to political posturing. Like the right is wanting to thin out the Fed government. The left wants, and I think the big thing here, one of the big things is healthcare. Like the left's trying to throw bills in to keep Obamacare, and the right is trying to take those out of is trying to shut that down basically. And so they're both trying to throw things in, and again, it's a lot of political posturing on both sides. Yeah, last shutdown was 35 days. I'm really hoping it doesn't last that long. I'm really hoping it doesn't. Yeah, so this shutdown specifically, the right has insisted on passing a clean resolution, continuing CR resolution, which is a stopgap funding bill that keeps government operating at current levels, right? Basically doesn't change anything and just kind of keeps the government running while they figure it out without additional policy changes or spending increases, right? So that's what the right wants. They argue that attaching all these healthcare subsidies, Medicaid expansions, recessions of foreign aid, make the negotiations more complicated and undermine a straight path towards funding. On the left, they want to restore or continue healthcare subsidies, especially the Affordable Care Act, preventing cuts to Medicaid, ensuring no loss of coverage. They argue that a clean CR without those would hurt vulnerable populations. There's a lot more of it. Like, the right is arguing that the federal budget needs to be controlled, cuts or freezes in certain programs are necessary, and that expanding or restoring payment subsidies, especially in healthcare, is fiscally irresponsible. So neither side wants to budge. They're all just kind of gold continuing to break down, NASDAQ continuing to push up. Yeah, Bitcoin is flying up today, guys. So one of the benefits of this is that Bitcoin up to 117s right now. It's doing great. It's been flying high here. Good. That's good. Gold has been falling back down a little bit, but I think gold wants 4,000. And so I'm curious to see if gold hits 4,000 today. I think gold wants 4,000. Maybe it'll wake up closer to main market hours, but I think gold wants 4,000 today. We'll see if it hits it. Again, NASDAQ still creeping up here. The highs of the day? Yeah. NASDAQ breaking highs of the day. Speaker of the House just confirmed the 11 a.m. vote in the Senate will pass the stopgap measure. Inevitable. And so if they do, maybe we'll still get the data. I don't know. Gold continuing to break down here. Maybe on the news that the yeah, I don't really see any news. I see just gold correcting. All right, so if they do pass the stopgap measure at 11, if the Senate votes yes, bill goes to the House. The Speaker is already signaling confidence, which is good. House leadership would likely move quickly to bring it to a floor vote. Then you need House approval. If the House passes it by a simple majority, the bill is cleared for the president. Once the president signed it, that officially restores funding. Wondering if we resume today, if we still get the labor report on Friday. Yeah, ADP non-farm employment is coming out. It's private, right? So this is not government numbers, it's private numbers. So yeah, so if they do restore the government today, it's possible we still get the labor report on Friday. I'm hoping for this. Let's get this done. I want this to happen. You know, I'm supportive of this. I'd love for them to get this done. I'm not the most confident they will, though. But basically, since if funding's restored today, the BLS staff can get back to work. Since most of it's already collected and prepared, they could probably still publish it. And historically, during very short shutdowns, like 1 to 2 days, like it would be if we resume today, they can still, historically, they have released it as scheduled with little or no delay if we have like a quick 1 day and then back shutdown. Yeah, so if the stopgap measures passed, very good chance we'll get the September job report. Well, yeah, generally speaking, during shutdowns, we actually get good, like, price action. So, like, generally speaking, during shutdowns, we usually get... it's like a buy the rumor, sell the news event, right? So we usually get, like, sell-offs leading into the shutdown, and then afterwards, during the shutdown period, we actually get positive things, right? Generally, not always, but generally, we usually get positive stuff go on, you know, during the shutdown itself. Not always, there's a variance, but yeah, generally. All right, guys, I'm going to switch. We got the ADP non-farm employment. It's not inevitable. I mean, there's variance. It's likely, but he thinks it's going to pass. Probabilities are it's going to pass, but you don't ever know for sure. Yeah, it's October. Let's see if we get some good action here. I'm just waiting for that ADP non-farm employment change report. That's something we get today at 11 or at 8:15 market time today. That can and could move markets, especially in the context of everything going on, where we might not get the September report scheduled for release Friday. We might not get that, and so if we don't get that, you know, maybe people will pay more attention. Yeah, I don't know how much algos react to economic reports. I really don't. I think I'm sure there is some, but I think the economic data is very hard to digest. Like when you look at movements we get, and maybe it's from algorithms, that's possible too. It's not always the cleanest reactions to economic reports. Like just because we get a strong economic report doesn't always mean we're going up, and just because we get a weak economic report doesn't always mean we're going down. I don't know. I would assume algorithms would have a hard time taking advantage of economic releases, but all right, looking at our poll numbers, we asked, will the government shutdown last longer than 7 days? 60% say yes. I don't know. We'll see. Bitcoin, super elevated right now. Let's go ahead and prep this stream. What do you mean 24/7 stock trading news? $8:15 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, so we got the prelim NFP data today. Yeah, so again, just to clarify, the ADP non-farm employment change data, prelim NFP data drops 8:15. I'll put a timer up. We'll schedule this. Yeah, so we got the ADP non-farm employment change data. Watching gold here. Gold looks like it wants to get a little bit higher. I think gold wants 4,000. When do you guys think gold breaks 4,000? Yeah, we got the non-farm employment change data Yeah, but if it was in November of 2024, I don't think we should get 24 hours a day. I would rather not have to wake up super early because some crazy news came out that might influence positions. I'm personally against that, you know. Like, I would rather markets not stay open 24/7. I think it's unnecessary. I think we need a time where the markets are closed and we don't have to worry about it. What's up, Sam? Yeah. I would just rather consolidate everything towards actual market hours, personally. You know? Yeah, I know. Markets close the weekends. I get it. But I'm still not really happy. I would, again, personally, I'd rather just not. Again, we got the prelim NFP report live at 8:15. I'll put a timer up. I'll put the numbers up to expect here as well. Yeah, so the non-farm employment data is expected today at 45,000. 45K. Bitcoin up to 117.5s in Bitcoin futures. Gold up to 3,900s. I'm still expecting gold to hit 4,000 sometime soon. I don't know if it will, but so essentially the government shut down. What does the government shutdown means? It means they're gonna have to sit out government employees that are deemed non-essential, and because of that, we're not gonna get economic reports. Their pay is gonna be halted until this thing gets figured out. They'll get back pay, but they're not going to be able to release like Friday's labor report if the government continues to be shut down. And so that's essentially what's going on here, is that every year before September 30th, they have to reach a deal on funding the government. If they do not reach a deal, the government is shut down. And it's why every year you'll hear this type of news where it's like, oh, is the government going to shut down? Is the government going to shut down? Last year, it didn't end up happening. Like, the government did not end up shutting down, but, you know. We'll see what happens this year. Right now, the government is officially shut down as of 12:01 this morning. There is rumblings about a stopgap measure, you know, basically to resume funding for the government. The Speaker of the House said that it's pretty likely it's going to pass. It's not 100% though, but it's pretty likely it's going to pass. It's possible, not guaranteed. So, Speaker of the House publicly confirmed the 11 a.m. Senate votes, projecting it will pass. They're probably doing this to put pressure on holdouts though. Yeah, so the Senate rules require 60 votes to end debate in many cases, or to overcome a filibuster. Essentially, if they don't reach that number, like if the left and right don't get together in favor and don't reach that number, the bill could stall. Yeah, gold's so close to 4,000. I think it wants to hit it, right? I talked about this yesterday. And yeah, I think psychologically, gold very close to a big milestone level, 4,000. I think it could go up to that number, hit it, which is right here, and then come right back down, right? But it's so close to that level now. I think long makes sense. The only thing though is that if we do avoid a shutdown lasting longer than today, like if we do get the stopgap measure passed, then gold might actually correct back down a little bit because there's less unknown, you know, instability. Of course, the market can crash. You can't genuinely think the market could never crash again, you know? Especially like a flash crash. We got one earlier this year. You know, like this was a flash crash in April. If we look at the SPY or Q, you dropped 26% in April. That's a flash crash. You know, as long as markets can interpret macroeconomic things as very good or very bad, we can get flash crashes. You know, look, here's the flash crash. Again, NASDAQ just here dropped, what, 26%? So, I mean, yeah, but I mean, wouldn't you consider April a flash crash? 26%. You know, that's pretty recent. You know, I'm not, look, it's all good. We can all agree with, we can all believe whatever we want to believe, and it's all good. I'm not, you know, here to judge that. I mean, I might disagree with you, but it's all good. If you don't think the market can flash crash, you know, maybe you're right. I don't necessarily agree. I think we flash crashed 3-4 months ago, 5 months ago. NASDAQ's still breaking highs up here. Yeah, Bitcoin ripped up 117.5. Remember, we got ADP non-farm employment change data. I'll put a timer up. This data actually drops in 25 minutes now. So we're basically there now. So do you think this has changed from 5 months ago? All right, here's the timer for the ADP non-farm employment data. We got 22, 23 minutes. RZLV. Yeah, RZLV is running. Penny stock. I'm not really messing with these, but it's running up big. Nvidia broke all-time highs yesterday. Nvidia is still up to where it was. Closed all the way at 186, 187s. So Nvidia up big as of yesterday. Let's see if Nvidia holds as well. bud? Love you, buddy. Doing all right, man?
Yeah.
Y'all in here early. All right, dude. Love you, bud. Does the shutdown influence the Fed decision on rate cuts? Yes, to a certain extent. And the logic of it, it actually is a little bit more dovish. Because if we can only go by the data we have, there's not much data that can change the outlook of a rate cut at this point in time, right? Like, that's the logic, I think, of more confirmed rate cuts during shutdowns, is because it's pretty likely to be cut now. And if we don't have data like CPI and labor report to influence that, then yeah, then we're probably just going to stick to the current expectation. And if we do stick to the current expectation, that's a 25 basis point cut. Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't think it's a good... I don't think it's a... And I'm going to preface this with, it's all love here. I might think you're wrong, but it's all love. We can believe whatever we want to believe in terms of the stock market. I don't think it's a good or healthy expectation of the market in which you think it will never crash. I think that makes it really easy to be greedy. Really easy to... you know, lose big. Big bear markets, recessions and crashes, they don't really happen except for maybe once every 10, 15 years. Last one really was 2008. 2020 didn't last long in terms of bear market. You might be able to call that one. And so a lot of people would argue we're due for one. But I think it's going to depend on if we go into a recession and what that looks like. The last one was sparked by a recession, or the last one sparked a recession. But I'm going to be paying attention to the Fed meetings. And maybe he's right. I don't know. But I don't necessarily think it's the healthiest. I think for risk management, you have to look at things and always understand, like, anything could happen. We could certainly crash. We could certainly drop. Saying something's not, like, impossible to happen, especially in terms of market crashes. I don't like that idea. I think it primes people to lose a lot of money. And so, yeah. But again, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. 2020 was probably one. I would call 2020 a flash crash versus an actual bear market or crash. Like 2020, everybody was so doom and gloom on 2022. 2020, let's zoom out a little bit. Was here. And it really wasn't like this was 2020, which again, a lot of people would call a flash crash. Percentage wise, it was fairly large, right? But it didn't last long. And then we rebounded back up. And so, you know, we got a little mini one in 2020. We got another little flash crash earlier this year here. You know. And so non-farm payrolls mean exactly as the name suggests. Payrolls that aren't farms. That's what they mean. It's basically a big labor report. It's jobs, right? Higher jobs is better. Lower jobs is worse. Higher jobs means businesses are able to expand and grow and hire more people, and thus it mirrors the economy to a certain extent, like how well the economy's doing. And that's essentially what it is. We also get an unemployment number percentage that drops. Fridays was expected at 4.3% break even, you know, and the non-farm payroll report was expected at 51,000, which is a slight ramp up. The big thing with the payroll reports recently has been revisions, and so. All right, guys, and remember, in about 18 minutes, 17 minutes, we do have the prelim NFP report going live, which is the non-farm employment change report. Walmart is going to move artificial dyes from its U.S. brands, according to Bloomberg. Yeah, so like ADP's data is private payrolls, right? The NFP report includes government payrolls as well. So the ADP one is done by Automatic Data Processing, which is a private payroll processing company. It's usually released 2 days before the big NFP report. It's treated as a leading indicator for the official jobs report that would come out on Friday if the government wasn't closed down right now. What news at 10 o'clock today do you mean? We have, today we have ISM Manufacturing from the Institute of Supply Management. Yeah, so the ISM, the Institute of Supply Management data will still release. It's a private nonprofit company, not a government agency. We'll still get manufacturing PMI data always first day of the month. ISM data, services PMI third day of the month on Friday. We'll get that. So we'll still get some of the private data, but the big ones like CPI, labor reports, those are going to be paused while the shutdown happens. But again, we got the ADP prelim NFP report today. So, and I'm wondering if this is going to get more attention because the actual labor report probably is going to get pushed back. I'm curious. I don't know, but I think it's possible. Yeah, so the ADP report. Yeah, so again, since the government shut down, we're still going to get ADP. That might be the big headline for today, maybe for the week. Which financial reports are we still getting despite the government shutdown? So we are still getting ISM data, Institute of Supply Management, so PMI data, ADP data, which is today in 15 minutes, 12 minutes, Consumer confidence, global PMI, S&P global PMI data. Basically, the private issuers of data we're still getting. The government issuers of data like CPI, PPI, GDP, retail sales, jobless claims, non-farm payrolls, unemployment. We're not getting any of those. If the government shut down. Now, remember, like we said earlier, the government is shut down right now. But there's a chance that the stopgap measure passes at 11. There's a chance. The speaker signaled confidence in this passing the stopgap. Which, if that happens, maybe we'll still get the labor report on Friday. Maybe. I don't know for sure. Yeah, crypto is benefiting a ton from this here. Look at like Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin up to 117s. And the funny thing about Bitcoin is that every single time Bitcoin dips a little bit, people get skeptical. Like Bitcoin goes to 125, dips down to 110. Everybody's like, oh no, Bitcoin's done. Right? And then inevitably, it always ends up coming right back up. And then it's just kind of crickets. You got to understand, we're in a digital world now. I don't think you can hold Bitcoin to the same argument that, oh, it's not a real currency. Well, fiat, people would argue the same thing. And so I just think you have to understand, world's digital. Bitcoin all the way back up to 117s today on basically uncertainty with the government. Now, Bitcoin might come back down. Gold might come back down if the government resumes. And yeah, we do have ISM manufacturing PMI. I think services PMI is the day after tomorrow. Yeah, ISM services Friday. Wednesday, we got ISM manufacturing, which is today. It's expected at 49%. And again, we got the ADP non-farm employment data. $8:15 market time is when this report drops. No, I understand the worry. I understand the 4-year cycle as well. I experienced the last one. And luckily, we ended up ripping up eventually. The last thing that made, like the last cycle made NFTs fail, essentially. Like, NFTs are basically useless now. Nobody uses NFTs really anymore. Nobody speculates on them. And they were big, man. NFTs were huge for a while. Nobody uses them now. Yeah, Nike is up after earnings yesterday. So Nike had earnings yesterday. Good outlook, I believe, is what they gave. All right, guys, we got 8 minutes here. 8 minutes. We got about 1,000 here. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Yeah, October, November, historically good months for markets, I think, as well. A lot of people call October Uptober. It doesn't mean it's going to follow through, but it's generally a good month for markets. Like if we take a look at average monthly percentages here. October is generally pretty good. It's not the best month for sure. The best month historically is December, July, August, or no, April and January for the market. But October is generally positive. If you take a look at this. September, they call it the September slump right here. And then October is usually positive. But again, best months historically December, July, April, and January. But November, December, usually good. Usually good. A lot of holiday sales, stuff going on. So. Metaverse real estate. Yeah, I was never a big believer in the metaverse thing, man. I was explaining this to somebody else. The real issue with the metaverse and everything, biggest issue, is simply that there was not one main metaverse, right? And instead there was a bunch of different ones, and that kind of broke up the interest. And so people would take these big risks. I know people that were spending 20 or 30 grand on like plots of real estate in one of the metaverses, and almost all of them lost money. I was never a big believer in buying up metaverse land. I thought that was a silly thing. I would have rather wait until we get a confirmed big metaverse that has consolidated interest versus speculating on which one was going to be big and then hoping that, you know, I think there's a lot of crazy stuff during the late teens and the early 2020s. Yeah, October, a lot of crashes due. 1987 happened in October. I have to go back and look at it. I think a lot of them actually happened in October. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes here. 5 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Again, ADP data drops at 8:15 market time. We will cover it. We'll see what happens. The U.S. Treasury Department is going to relax proposed rule taxing unrealized Bitcoin gains. Yeah, I mean, they should. That's a ridiculous one. MicroStrategy or strategy plans to exclude unrealized gains and losses from AFSI. Redfin said typical U.S. luxury home prices rise 4% to 1.25 million as sales fall to lowest August level in over a decade. Gold's still elevated. When do you guys think gold's gonna hit 4,000? I think I asked this earlier. But I think gold wants 4,000. Reddit downside attributed to ChatGPT massively reducing Reddit citations, and the traffic is now even close to early year levels, according to people on Reddit. How has Reddit reacted? I didn't even think about that dynamic here. Look at Reddit. Reddit is falling this morning. I thought Reddit was overvalued. I was never interested in buying Reddit. I think Reddit's still highly used as well, but I've never liked Reddit. It went up way too much too quickly, and maybe I missed out on something. Maybe I'm just mad. That's possible. Is that Charmander? Up there? Yes, that's a Charmander Lego set my son made. All right, chat, we got 3 minutes here. 3 minutes before the ADP data comes out. 3 minutes. Let's see what we get. Again, it's expected today at 52,000. 52K. We will see what this looks like. 52,000 is what's expected at. We get private data releasers. So ADP is a private company releasing data. And so I think this report's actually going to be big because we might not get the labor report. And so see what this looks like. I'm going to put Bitcoin up here. We got gold on the right. I'm going to put like the dollar index up right here. See how this moves. Labor data. Again, we got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. I'm showing expected numbers for this. I am showing about 50 or I'm 45,000 is what I'm showing. 45K. I'm showing anywhere between 45 and 55,000 is what they're expected for labor. 52,000 on some ends, 45 on other ends. All right, guys. 52, 54, 45. All right, we got about a minute left. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you fully catch up to the stream. We appreciate it. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you catch up to the stream. The government is officially shut down, but we still get private payroll releasers like this. It's the prelim NFP report. We got the NASDAQ up here. This timer's a little bit early. So really, we got about 40 seconds left. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. It'll catch you up so that you'll get the data as soon as it drops. Hit the live button next to the play button. 30 seconds here. 30 seconds. Put it in 2x speed. You'll catch up as well. All right, guys, 10 seconds. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Here we go. Yeah, government shut down. Funding is stopped. They don't have anybody to release the payroll numbers later this week. So this report's big. Here we go. Here's the data right here, guys. Here's the data right here. And here's the release. Slow to come out here. Yeah, I'm seeing it slow to come out. I see the ADP report here, but this is for August. So ADP hasn't released theirs either yet. Weird. I'm showing 54,000 change in August. We're waiting for September. And I don't see the September one yet. From any of the releasers. Are they not releasing ADP today, bro? Hold on. Is ADP shut down? Everybody's waiting for ADP data. Look, I'm looking for it. Everybody else is like, hey, what happened to the ADP data? Is this making markets drop? Hold on. Yeah, I'm just showing August's data. I'm not showing the new one. Bro, ADP is private. What's going on here? Okay, negative 32,000 is what it just showed up as. Negative 32,000. It's late. They were late to release it. Negative 32,000 jobs on this report. Negative 32K. It was negative 32,000, by the way, chat. This is negative numbers. Negative 32,000. Yikes. Negative 32,000. Market did not like this. Expected at 52,000 positive. Previous was, and they also revised the last one down. Markets did not like this. Nice, dude. That's a weak report here. I'll put this data up on screen, but man, I mean, this means higher chance of a cut, in my opinion. Right? Like, this is gonna mean higher chance of a cut, and it was late too. Usually, it's not this late. Uh, all right, I put it up on the bottom of the screen. Well, this is private numbers, right? So this might give a little bit of insight into what we might potentially get for next on Friday's report. Yeah, I mean, it means a higher chance of rate cuts. If you take a look at like the 10-year Treasury yield, and this is assuming that we don't get the stopgap measure passed today, which is set to vote at 11. If we get that passed, maybe we'll still get the payroll report. But this is probably going to make markets drop in terms of... yeah, you can kind of see like yields are down. Short term. Here's yields. And this makes sense, right? This means a higher chance of cuts, weaker labor data. Higher chance of cuts. Look at the yields fall. Down to 4.11%. Yeah, it's weak for the economy. It's good for rate cuts. I mean, weak for the economy. It means there's a higher chance of cuts, is what this means. Gold might be elevated too, but... yeah, look at this. So yields are down. NASDAQ reacted negatively to it. Yeah, negative data here. Yeah, so revisions, negative 32K, expected 52, 54. Previous was 54, but they revised previous down to 3,000 negative. Looking at this report here, if you look at the ADP report, yikes. Look at this report. So negative 32,000. Despite the strong economic growth we saw in the second quarter, this month's release further validates what we've been seeing in the labor market, that the U.S. employers have been cautious with hiring. All the mid-sized, large-sized companies, changes by industry, natural resources and mining up 4K, construction down negative 5,000 jobs, manufacturing negative 2,000 jobs, trade, transportation and utility negative 7,000 jobs, information up 3,000 jobs, financial activities down 9,000 jobs, professional and business services down 13,000 jobs, leisure and hospitality down 19,000, education and health up 33K, and other services down 16,000. Again, yields are falling as this data release. Yeah, Reddit's down because people are speculating that AI is going to replace a lot of Reddit's business and that they're starting to see very low numbers. If you look at Reddit right now, Bitcoin reacting favorably to this. I think Bitcoin runs economic stimulus. NASDAQ also rebounding back up here, so... He's right back up to where it was before the data release. Market doesn't care. Yeah, that might be true. Mortgage rates about to fall, maybe. 30-year mortgage rates showed up this morning. It actually showed up higher than expected. Yeah, so the number of jobs created in August was revised to negative 3,000 from 54,000. This is what I was trying to argue. Like, people argue against rate cuts. I think it's just political. From both sides of the argument, I think a lot of it is political. I think people argue whatever the president wants, they disagree with, right? And I don't know if that's the healthiest mentality, because nobody's wrong about everything. And so, and on the other side as well, everything he says they agree with, and I don't think that's the healthiest mentality either. I'm usually somewhere in the middle, but I've been saying we should be cutting rates for 5 months now. I thought we should cut rates, not this past meeting, but the meeting before that at the very least, Because I think once labor gets weak enough, the risks become weakness. The risks are much greater for us entering recessions, depressions, if we don't act in a proactive measure, or in a proactive way, I should say, against those. And so I think we've seen signs of weakening labor for a while now. And we'll see if it continues to trend that way. We'll see if we get the labor report. I think rate cuts are stimulative, and if the labor market starts to turn, I'll put it this way. Here's the easiest way to put it. Okay. If we wait too long to bring rates down and we stay too restrictive for too long, the consequence is going to be a recession. And then in that situation, the FOMC is more likely to go full easing mode money printing, and that's going to make inflation way worse. Way worse. And so even if you fear inflation, you got to understand waiting too long and forcing us into a recession is going to make the federal government print, or it's going to make the Federal Reserve print way more money. And that's going to make your fears worse, not better, And so I think it's somewhere in the middle. I'm okay with Powell being cautious. But I think right now with the signs we're seeing in the labor market on almost every report we're getting, you got to be careful. You just got to be careful. I'm not super hard on Powell. I think Powell's got a tough job. But I think you have to understand, if we wait too long, we're going to go into a recession or depression, and then the Fed's going to come out printing a bunch of money, and that's going to make inflation so much worse than it was. And that's a serious risk right now, a serious risk. And so you have to understand that it's not just about, whoever wants whatever. I don't care about any of the politics behind it. I'm just saying, I don't want us to do QE. And the Federal Reserve tends to do QE during big economic recessions and depressions, and I don't want QE. Gold is breaking down right now. Look at gold fall all the way back down here. Okay, guys, so just to put this into perspective here. The Speaker of the House is saying that a stopgap measure will probably pass at 11 a.m. today. If they get that done, then it's very likely... I love you. Have a good day. It's very likely that if it passes, it's very likely the government shutdown ends, and maybe we still get non-farm payroll report and labor report on Friday. Maybe we still get jobless claims. I don't know. They probably already calculated this data, so they just have to release it. But if the shutdown continues, we're probably almost certainly not getting that data on Thursday, tomorrow, and Friday at 8:30. But again, the Speaker of the House did publicly confirm that the 11 a.m. Senate vote, and he did project it will pass. But it's not 100%. It's not 100%. The Fed is not a federal government. Despite the name, the Fed, it stands for the Federal Reserve, but it's not actually a government entity. Again, the Fed has independence from the government. That's why you hear a lot of arguments about the Fed's independence. The Fed has independence from the government. The government is not supposed to be able to control the Federal Reserve. Now, they can put pressure, and both sides try to usually, but yeah. Change the channel name to Nathan. What does that stand for? Yeah, so House Speaker Johnson coming back out saying he is hoping for a breakthrough today. But again, he's hopeful. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. Some people were saying it's 100% going to happen. That's not necessarily true, and I think nothing's 100% in markets. So again, it's the federal government. They are going to be shut down aside from essential workers. So non-essentials, I think it's like 40%, it might be 60%, are going to no longer be working until the government shutdown ends. And then once it ends, they're not going to get paid either. And then once it ends, they're going to give them back pay for it, essentially. John's BJJ, top 3 worst blue belt ever, you know. What I know is I can't teach. I try to help people, but like, I still get a Darce and an Anaconda mixed up, you know. So like, I'm not the teacher of jiu-jitsu, you know. Yeah, gold's coming back down. Curious about buying it maybe at 3,900s here. I'm going to buy gold a little bit, small. Give me a little bounce back up here. $3,900 seems like a big psychological level. Gold's broken down a lot. Top 3. Ugh. All right, so we got this bounce here. I'm gonna take a little bit off. Lock in some profit here on this. Try to let the rest work a little bit more. Big rebound here. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off right here. No, don't retrace. The only thing about gold that I've noticed is that right where I want to get out, it retraces sometimes as soon as I'm like, hey, I'm going to sell. And so I think I need to take profit a little bit earlier than I do. All right, we're going to take the last one off right there. Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna be here. I don't care how long the government shutdown lasts. I mean, we cover other stuff. We got private data today. Today we had non-farm employment. We still got 1,300 people here right now, and so we're still gonna be streaming. You know, it's not like we're not gonna stream just because some of the big economic. I mean, I would rather them not shut down, so I can cover the economic reports. But we're streaming regardless, or how, like some would say, irregardless. Irregardless of the government shutdown, we're streaming. Regardless of whether irregardless is a word or not. All right, guys. Gold coming down to 3,900s here. Did bounce. My prediction for NFP would be it's not going to get released on Friday. I know it's not a word. That's why I said regardless of whether it's a word or not, because it's not a word. I think it might actually be added to the dictionary now. But it's a nonsensical word. Like, you could just say regardless. You don't need to add the era on the end of it. Powell's not part of the government, though. If anything, the big fears about this government shutdown is that, okay, so the Fed uses economic reports to guide it, to steer the ship, to steer the airplane of the Fed. They use economic reports to guide it, right? And so the expression that people are using now is that the Fed is now flying blind. They don't have the economic reports like the labor report. As long as the government stays shut down, they don't have the labor report to steer them in the right direction in terms of rates, right? It actually means they're going to probably be more dovish since they don't really have any big economic reports outside of this morning's, which was super weak, negative 30 whatever thousand. Showed up at negative 32,000 this morning, very weak versus a 50 plus thousand expected. And so essentially they're not going to have the data they need, is what people are speculating, if the government remains shut down. It's not a synonym, Brian. A synonym would be like, yeah, bad. Like you used, but they mean the same thing, but one actually isn't a word. And they also have the same base of regardless. So, I mean, the ironic thing is that people use irregardless to try to seem smarter, because maybe if you don't know that it's not a word, it might seem smarter. But, yeah, we got ISM data, so there's still some data that's coming out, right? There's still some data. We get ISM data, ADP data. So we get ISM manufacturing PMI today, 10 a.m. We'll get that. That drops at 10 o'clock. We have ADP data. We get like S&P Global manufacturing data still. These are all private reporters of data. But CPI, non-farm payrolls, unemployment, jobless claims are not going to be released either, they say. And so we're not getting a lot of the data that we normally get. Anti-disestablishmentarianism. Yeah, we don't get any of the good data. It's all being pushed back. Again, if we resume today, and we do get the 11 a.m. stopgap passed, we'll probably still get the data this week. Probably. It might still get pushed back to next week, but if we get all the stuff passed, then we'll still probably get the data. I don't really knock anybody for using irregardless. It's just kind of a joke, Irregardless, listen, I certainly use words that are not real words heavily. I use a lot of slang as well. And so I can't knock anybody for anything. I'm just kind of messing around. Honest question, why blame the Fed and not the president's tariffs? Can't the Fed only react to what he's doing? I mean, you can pin the blame on whomever you want. It doesn't matter, I'm not saying you're wrong either. It could be from the inflation. A lot of people would argue we don't currently have super high inflation rates, right? You look at PCE inflation, which came out last week, and they showed up 2%, 2.7% for August for PCE, which is not the worst. You look at PCE, which is the Fed's preferred inflation metric, 2.7%. You look at core. What was core? Yeah, 2.9% for core, I think, right? If you look at these, I mean, they're under 3%. They're close enough. A lot of, I mean, and again, I know, I I'm not even going to look at the chat. But I know what the chat is saying is they're going to say, you think inflation isn't bad right now? And I understand that argument. But a lot of the inflation that you guys are talking about are the inflation that we've seen over the last 5 years straight, right? I'm not talking about historical inflation that stays, which is when once prices go up, you're stuck with them. We had a lot of price increases in 2022, 2021, all the economic stimulus of 2020, all the quantitative easing of 2020, all the supply chain problems of 2020 and beyond, stimulus checks in 2020, all of that stuff essentially made prices get crazy. And that's why a lot of people are like, man, inflation's so bad right now. But I think you got to look at like the inflation rate at this point in time. And if you look at the inflation rate, it's not where they want it to be, but the 2% goal is a target. And I think, you know, we're right here. 2.9, 2.7. CPI was 2.9% for August. So we have had a slowdown to price inflation over the past few years. So it's not like we're at some crazy 2022 level regarding inflation. You know, we're just not there. And if we're showing weakness in the labor market and inflation's at or around 3%, I think a lot of people are going to say, what's the bigger risk? And what you think is the bigger risk is subjective. I'm not really mad. I don't like inflation. As a self-employed person, I fear inflation over everything else, right? But I also understand if we enter a recession, the Fed's going to come out swinging with quantitative easing and money printing, and it's going to, you know, ultra stimulus. Like the last time we got deep inflation, if you look at the graph here, the last time we got deep inflation was when we had the little 2020 correction and crash or whatever you want to call it. And the Fed stepped in and brought rates down to almost zero, and they printed a bunch of money with quantitative easing, and it spiked inflation by 2 years later. We had almost 10% inflation. And so it's about playing the risks, I think, here. And again, I don't know what the right answer is. I really don't know what the right answer is. Let me know what you guys think it is in the chat. Yeah, housing is interesting. They're still doing quantitative tightening, which is kind of like the opposite of printing money. And MBS is completely. So, all right, gold's still breaking down. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ's still trying to hold up. It's been testing highs of the day. Early this morning, it was testing highs. Yeah, but it's kind of like it's kind of like a scale. On one end we have inflation, and on the other end we have labor. You know, and so it's about which one's the greater risk. Lately, labor has been getting weak and coming back down, and so a lot of people are going to argue that stimulation of the economy is justified. I don't want to do QE though. As long as we don't do QE, I think I'm okay. You know. QE is where the Fed creates online bank money and then uses that to buy up a bunch of assets and expand their balance sheet, like MBSs and treasuries. It injects liquidity, but it causes inflation. Helps bring interest rates down faster, but it's more of a desperate thing and it causes inflation. So. I'm a chef. Prices have gone up. Yeah, but food prices are gonna jump wildly, right? Like food prices are kind of volatile. That's why the Fed looks at core PCE, which is the personal consumption expenditure, and the reason they do is because it excludes food and energy prices, like gas and food. Because gas and food prices, you know, especially like gas is depends on what's going on in terms of output overseas, like everything. Gas is wildly volatile, and food is a similar way. So food prices going up doesn't necessarily equate to big risks regarding 10% rises. I mean, there's risks. I don't like food. Some would argue that food and energy are the things that humans pay the most, spend the most money on in the first place. So inflation there is the most relevant. But just based off of the volatility of it, a lot of, it's not watched as much. Yeah, I mean, so just to give you guys some, the Swiss government says New York court has dismissed actions brought by AT1 bondholders against Switzerland. But yeah, rate cuts is just straight up lowering the federal funds rate at short-term interest rates that banks charge each other to lend and hold money overnight. It eventually trickles into everything else, but cutting rates equals cheaper loans, more borrowing and spending. It stimulates growth. And yeah, I mean, you can only bring rates down a certain amount, but when the Federal Reserve does QE, again, they're essentially creating online bank money and then using that to buy large quantities of bonds and MBSs. It helps lower long-term yields, which are interest rates, and it pushes investors into riskier assets like equities, stocks, real estate, so forth and so on. But again, it can cause inflation problems in a faster way, in a riskier way. It can cause asset bubbles in a riskier way. And again, I'm still here to say, I think gold is going to benefit the most from all this stuff. If we have a stagflation environment where people fear inflation and recession, labor weakness, gold's going to be the primary, benefiter that people are going to hedge with. Gold and crypto, maybe, If the labor market's weak, there's uncertainty, people might buy gold. If inflation's a risk, people hedge with inflation through gold. And so I think gold's also very close to the 4,000 level. I'm not saying gold's going to continue to go up, and I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. But I think gold's going to test 4,000 soon. Who knows when? Not an investment professional. If you want to help me support the channel, check out Top Step. If you want to day trade without risking too much, Top Step's the way. No PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. Some of the stuff is very similar to day trading stocks, just with no PDT restrictions. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. You pass the test. They fund you 50K, 90% split. You fail, you lose $50 for the base one. It's the best of both worlds. Limited risk, and most day traders lose regardless of where they go. It's usually a lot cheaper to lose here when you're learning how to day trade with risk, and you're risking something. It's $50, but it's not risking thousands like a lot of new traders end up doing and losing. They pay out millions in actual payouts, fund thousands. Some of the most reliable for payouts. I think they've paid out more payouts. I think they've paid out more people. I'll have to look up the actual numbers, but it's a super high amount, and just a great way to learn. You're still risking something, but not the full extent. They also have their back to funding option. Some other platforms have like a direct to funding option, but the rules are really strict. And so this back to funding option lets you reset funded accounts, and it keeps the same rules as a normal funded account. So it's incredibly useful. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. Not an investment professional. Genuinely useful for traders, though. Genuinely useful. I'll put the link up. Check it out. Paper gold? I mean, what do you mean by paper gold? You mean just buying gold ETFs? Buying gold? I'm not telling you to do anything. I have no idea where gold's going to go, just to clarify. No idea where gold's going to go. Gold might crash today. And if the government resumes, a lot of people might argue gold's going to correct down. And so it depends on if you think 11 a.m. bill is going to pass, stopgap bill. I mean, I don't know if it's the same thing, but yeah. Yeah, silver's been having a good market here. It's been pushing up. Yeah, again, private employers down 32,000 jobs in September. We're seeing so many signs of a labor market pullback here. We also had Schumer say that they're not going to get bullied into passing the bill. Maybe some more skepticism that the bill's going to pass. Yeah, this signals that the left is going to resist pressure to rush the funding bill. So maybe we're not going to get the bill passed. Gold's still flushing down here. NASDAQ edging higher. Bitcoin's still doing really well on this government shutdown, up to 117s. Dollar index is down. Yeah. I mean, the algo I've got is pretty good. I've got a couple different ones. How do you use Bitcoin if the electricity goes out? How do you use gold, bro? Gold's a shiny rock, sir. You know? Like, I've never understood the argument. I've said this 1,000 times. Like, hey, if stuff hits the fan, people are going to somehow want gold. It's a shiny rock, brother. Most of the time, it's just used to create electronics. Or silver is used to create electronics. You use a little bit of gold to create electronics. But it's a shiny rock. It has virtually no utility. Outside of being a long-term asset, right? And I like gold. Gold has done very well over a 25-year period. But I don't think the argument is if everything shuts down, gold is going to be some innately valuable thing. I don't think so. Yeah, with that said, I like gold and I like Bitcoin. I think if you don't stick your money in something, you're going to lose it over time. It's just objectively true. Yeah, Reddit's down because people are speculating that ChatGPT and others are going to take a lot of its business away. because people use Reddit to reference things and look things up and query things. And if they don't need Reddit as much, I think they said the numbers are down big on Reddit as well. I can't confirm. I saw a news release earlier. It didn't say who the source was, though, which is kind of making me... It says Reddit downside attributed to ChatGPT massively reducing Reddit citations, and the traffic is now even close to early year levels, end quote. Again, I'm not saying I agree with that. I don't know who the sources are regarding that. But... 100% of the time that Bitcoin closed the month of September green, on average, Bitcoin has moved 51%. Yeah. The problem is that Bitcoin did not close September green, I think. Bitcoin opened the month of September at 112,845. It closed the month of September at... Hold on, actually, I'm trying to see if it did. It might have actually closed green. It's very close. Let me see. Okay, there's September. Yeah, I'm showing it closed at 115, so it might have actually closed green. I'm gonna look back at when September started. It's slightly green, though. Yeah, y'all are right. Gold now under 3,900. Well, it's what I'm saying it's close on is that Bitcoin ended up ripping up yesterday. Yeah, again, I have to go back and check. I'm looking at Bitcoin futures, so my prices are probably a little skewed. Bitcoin's just a complicated math problem. Yeah, maybe quantum will affect those. Nasdaq coming all the way back down. I wonder if I can buy this dip. Yeah, I'm looking at, like, I have this indicator that I have on my charts. But it almost never shows up. But when it shows up, it's actually pretty accurate, especially at predicting, like, the bottoms of a short-term range. I'm looking at it on gold. I don't ever use it on gold. It does pretty good at predicting the bottom of short-term range. I'd have to, like, zoom in a lot to show you this. Those weren't that good, actually. Let me look at... I don't look at gold very much. Let me look at micro. I think on the micro it does good. Actually, it's been showing up a little bit more recently. It shows up like once every 3 days, though. And I think I have better algorithms than this built. Alright, guys, it's about 9 a.m. Bitcoin would be a huge rug. Speaking of gold, gold's still breaking down. It's at 3890s now instead of 3900s. Yeah, NBA 30-year mortgages showed up. They were negative almost 13% this morning. We also had an increase in 30-year mortgage rates, showed up at 6.46%. So that's a little bit higher than the 30-year mortgage rates were last time at 6.34%. So they did go up a little bit in terms of mortgage rates. Yeah, here's one of the algorithms I have, which it does pretty good at like finding bottoms. Like really what I see is the bottoms on the long side have been pretty solid, but the top side's been pretty good too. Still kind of playing with these, but I could show you this just to kind of, you know, pretty solid. Bottom, bounce, top, bounce, top, dip, bottom, bounce. This one worked. This one I think didn't right here. That's 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 out of 6. It's better than 80% so far. Still looking though. Nothing's gonna work 100% of the time here. And like some of these didn't work. But again, it does a pretty good job of like, if you trade it during good market hours, right? Like look at this one. I don't know if you can see this one. This one literally called the bottom. These two literally called the tops of this short-term range. Here. 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 So, we got some pretty good algos. I've got a couple different ones that I look at and kind of watch. What do you reckon on those numbers? Justifies more rate cuts? Well, I definitely think it justifies sticking to the plan of a 25 cut next month, or this month. I think it certainly justifies that. And I think if the government stays shut down, it's even more likely we're going to do that. We're going to cut rates as planned right now at 25. No. Yeah, it's a different language than that. What was the source? I mean, you could look this up pretty easily. So at 11 a.m. today, and I'm looking at NBC, but there's a lot of different sources. Again, at 11 a.m. today, the Senate's going to hold 3 votes, 2 procedural votes related to advancing same 2 stopgap bills. Or maybe that was yesterday. Let me check. Pretty sure we got played. I saw a House Speaker. But yeah, it might not be one. Maybe the person who told me that earlier was wrong. I did see some news this morning, though, about... Yeah, so Schumer reiterated 20 minutes ago or so that his side's not going to get bullied into passing the bill. I'm assuming that's the bill he's talking about. Johnson said going to talk to Schumer and Senate Dems today. Did he's praying for a very short shutdown. On job cuts, he said it could be an opportunity to downsize scope, hoping for a breakthrough today. Yeah, it's super partisan problems right now. Nasdaq's pretty flat during this. Gold is down but up on the day, I still think here. Gold hit 39.22 earlier. Mine's Bitcoin futures chain. So yeah, I'm looking at Bitcoin futures. We also have ISM manufacturing data later on today in like 55 minutes or so. We'll cover that when it drops. We're gonna be day trading the opening bell. All right, guys, waiting for the opening bell here. We will see what we get. First day of the shutdown. Apple initiated a buy by Seaport Global, price target at 310 a share announced by them. Yes, the U.S. government officially entered a shutdown at 12:01. They failed to release a temporary measure yesterday. They don't reconvene until Friday, so it's looking pretty likely that we're gonna stay shut down. Yeah, I mean, we might have it. I mean, Speaker Johnson has said things indicating that a stopgap could pass. We don't see anything added. Bitcoin dominance is pulling liquidity. Gold's still falling. I'm looking at gold futures, so everybody's different. I'm looking at gold futures. I might buy gold right here. It seems like a time to buy it. I'm gonna try to buy a little bit right here. All right, so we're in gold. I just bought a small piece. We got a higher low here, so maybe we'll get some rebounding back up. We're in a longer term trend. Small trade, but try to let it work here. $20 until the market opens. Yeah, Reddit's down big. Is Reddit down enough to oh, I was gonna say buy the dip at like 200s. It's now at 213s. It bounced exactly at 200s. What a rebound. Take a piece off there. Look for 39s. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cut that right there. We just got such a nice bounce here, this higher low. Yeah, Reddit downgraded, low numbers for them in terms of viewer traffic. So. A congressional website shows that the president nominated Hill for the FDIC chair. QCOM is also shifting to newer arm tech. But again, the economic data suspended during this government shutdown are jobless claims, non-farm payrolls, BLS data, CPI, which is BLS data, retail sales, housing starts, factory orders, employment trends, GDP data, new home sales, construction permits, export and import data. Again, generally the Fed shifts to a more dovish outlook during U.S. government shutdowns. It's never 100%, but that's generally what happens. So. Yeah, usually the markets are buy the rumor, sell the news. So like we dip leading into the government shutdown for equities, and then we rebound back up during the actual shutdown. Generally. I say generally, and then people are like, nah, bro, that one time, 15 years ago, you know, this happened. Anyways, we're back up to 3,900s. Again, I think gold wants 4,000. The question is, when does it hit it? Well, because if they're running blind, then essentially we have to go by what we currently see, and what we currently see is weakness in labor. It's currently 95% likely that we cut rates next month or this month. If we look at the CME watch tool, at this point in time, it's 99% likely, because you got to think, right? If they can't get any new updates to the data, we got to go by what we have already. What we have already is weak. We got the negative 32,000 print for ADP non-farm data this morning. Now odds of a 25 basis point cut are 99, and a 50 basis point cut has 1% odds here. So yeah, odds have certainly pivoted back down. If we look at yields, I'm sure yields are down. Yeah, yields are down to almost 4.1% even right now. Look at yields. And look, here was the payroll report, the ADP non-farm employment change report, I mean. Prelim payroll data tanked to yields, and yields and interest rates follow each other. So if yields drop, interest rates are coming down with it. So yeah, so the Senate is expected to reconvene this morning and vote on the two same bills that failed last night. One from Dems that contain key health provisions, and one from Repubs. So I think they do meet, and I think House Speaker Johnson has said some things that mirror that expectation, I think. Yeah, Bitcoin flying today. Looks good. Give your boy a follow on x.com at beginner trades. At beginner trades on x.com. We appreciate it. We're growing there too. All right, guys, we got about 15 minutes. Are you guys bullish or bearish? Let's end this poll. We asked people, will the government shutdown last longer than a week? 60% said yes out of 1.3 thousand votes. 40% said no. Let's do another poll. With the recent gov shutdown, are you bullish or bearish in equities for today's opening bell? All right, vote on that poll. That poll is now live. $15 minutes. Yeah, give me a follow there. Look at the NASDAQ stuff. Look at gold fall back down here. Let's look at the NQ. Assuming it's pushing up now. We fly today, maybe. $670 on the SPY? Maybe. There's a U.S. project to reform air traffic control launched in 2003. It suffered lengthy delays, though it is significantly over budget, according to a report. Google also introduced new Google Home Premium Subscription Plus, new benefits for AI Pro and Ultra subscribers, announced through their blog. AWS is going to become official cloud partners of NBA, WNBA, NBA G League Basketball, Africa League, and NBA Take-Two Media. Meta is also going to improve recommendations on apps with AI and a blog post as well. Looking at our poll, 56% bullish, 44% bearish. You can still vote. Again, we do have ISM manufacturing data today at 10 a.m. Maybe that'll swing things a little bit more. Institute of Supply Management Manufacturing PMI. It's the Purchasing Managers Index. Over 50 is expansion in manufacturing. Below 50 is contractions in manufacturing. They're expecting, I think, roughly break even at 49%. You know, so. Yeah, we're not investment professionals. We're not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. Can't guarantee anything. We covered this multiple times. I mean, we also have it on the top. I could put it back on the top. But, I mean, we covered enough. It's also in our description. You know, we're pretty safe. I don't ever give predictions without saying that in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, so even if I had nothing on the screen, anytime I'm like, hey, anytime I give my opinion on where something's going, I'm usually like, hey, I have no idea. Don't copy me, you know? And so. So we're in a shutdown now. Which means that, let me look at the percentage. I think it's 40%. $750,000 federal workers furloughed if the shutdown continues. Will gold continue to rise today is another question as well. Like, does gold continue to push up? So yeah, Department of Health announced 41% could be furloughed. 380,000 in 2019 were furloughed out of 2.1 million. So 18 to 20%. But it's roughly half of the. It's anybody deemed non-essential for government jobs are going to be furloughed if it persists, right? So 50%. Good, I guess. I mean, what's your opinion on Meta stock? I think Meta stock's pretty close to all-time highs, but it's got a little dip right now. Question is, what's the future of Meta stock? They've got Oculus going on, so their VR is pretty solid, right? They've got the smart glasses, which is growing, believe it or not, quickly. And I think that technology is going to keep getting better, and I think that's what people are getting front-loaded on into Meta. They own Instagram. Instagram losing a little steam to TikTok, but still widely used. Facebook is turning into a marketplace, and so they did a really smart pivot with Facebook. They own WhatsApp. So, I mean, they've got some diversification protections. As for what they do short term, I have no idea. Long term, they're probably going to be okay, but they're also up a lot in the last few years. So, all right, guys, we got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes heading into the opening bell. ISM manufacturing data going live at 10 a.m. Well, yeah, I mean, tech is data, though, inclusive. So he said all of them are data, are interested in data versus actual tech. Yeah, but that's what everything is. Like, here's the thing, right? People always say AI is hard to monetize. It's not showing the monetization levels. It's in a bubble. We're not going to be able to monetize AI nearly as well. What y'all are missing is data aspects of it. And AI picks up data. You know, the fact that you talk to AI like a normal person means it picks up way more data about you and everybody, and they're going to monetize that data, of course, right? This is the outcome. Of course, it'll be profitable. There's a reason these companies are growing AI, even if it hasn't shown the best monetization aspects already, even though I still think monetization outside of it is probably fine in terms of subscriptions. But data is where the money is with AI. And so because of that, it's going to continue to be really profitable, just like online companies did, social media companies did. You know, it's all about data. But with that said, there's still a lot of tech. You know, again, Meta's got smart glasses. It's got Instagram. It's got WhatsApp. It's got Oculus, VR. You know, got a lot of different technology, hardware and software. It's got its Llama system AI. You know. All right, so Ford Q3 U.S. sales rise 8.2%. Q3 electrified vehicle sales at 85.789 million. We also have Tesla delivery numbers sometime this week. Friday. Tesla delivery numbers on Friday. All right, guys, 7 minutes into the opening bell. Let's see what we get here. we had weak job numbers. Ford Q3 electrified vehicle sales 85,789 units. Third quarter U.S. sales rise 8.2% for Ford. Where's QCOM at? I talked about ARM. ARM's probably up today, huh? Yeah, ARM's up. Nvidia's still close to all-time highs as well. It's a little red on the day total, but it's still close to all-time highs. All right, Tesla deliveries dropped this week. I think Friday. Y'all help me, but I'm pretty sure it's Friday. Yeah, CoreWeave is still a little red on the day. It's at 135s. It's up a lot though as well. Had good news early in the week. Gold's still breaking down a little bit this morning too. 5 minutes left. Did my music stop? News at 5 o'clock win. Again, I'm waiting for the opening bell here. I don't really want to take anything right now. NASDAQ dipping. Maybe gold will bounce, but I'm going to wait. Again, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. We cover all the big economic reports. Government shutdown news, earnings, stock news, Tesla delivery numbers, Fed meetings, everything live for free right here. We don't sell a course, don't sell a service, don't even claim to be good traders. We just kind of give you guys all this stuff for free. You're welcome. And subscribe if you haven't yet. We appreciate it. We've been doing this for years. We know what the data is. We know how to cover it. So subscribe. We also trade live every day. So, top 3 worst trader ever. But I'm also the top 3 greatest trader ever, I think. Gold. Again, NASDAQ dipping pretty quickly here. I'm trying to see if there's any breaking news. Again, this labor report was not good. Just to put this into perspective. Labor report, negative 32,000 earlier. Negative 32K. Yields are now under 4.1%. Yields are now under 4.1%. October is generally a pretty good month for everything. But negative 32,000. Again, this includes small businesses down 19,000. Mid-sized businesses down 11,000 and 9,000 depending on the size. Large businesses actually gained some employees, 33,000. Natural resources and mining up 4K. Construction down 5K. Manufacturing down 2,000. Trade transportation down 7. Information up 3. Financial activities down 9,000. Professional health businesses, professional and business services down 13,000. Education and health up 33. Leisure and hospitality down 19. Other services down 16. So a weak labor report. Markets are starting to drop here. Could be the market on open. I don't see anything else. Probably just the market on open. Volatility. But yeah, it hasn't been a good day necessarily for economic reports. All right, guys, here we go. We still have manufacturing PMI at 9:45. We also have ISM manufacturing PMI data at 10 a.m. So this labor report is private payrolls. All right, this labor report is private payrolls by a private business, ADP. Automatic data processing is what the abbreviation stands for. But it's a private business, so it's not shut down during the... it came out this morning at 8:15, but it's not shut down. All right, guys, here we go. We got the opening bell coming soon here. 20 seconds, 20 seconds. Intel now green on the day. Gold rebounding a little bit. NASDAQ has fallen over the last few minutes. We got about 1,000 here. That's good. 5 seconds. Nike is up from earnings yesterday. There's the bell. Again, if it was delayed for you, hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you catch up on stream. Put it in 2x speed. NASDAQ falling a little bit, but it's not. Now it's actually back up. Look at you. I'm gonna put NVIDIA up here. NVIDIA is close to all-time highs. Meta's dropping. NASDAQ falling here. NVIDIA up, Meta down. Gold rebounding back up to 3,900s here. I'm gonna let a couple minutes pass. All right, look at the NASDAQ rip up here. Wow. NASDAQ green. Meta rebounded. NVIDIA pulling back a little bit though. All right, I'm in gold. I took a quick little gold position here. I'm gonna take another piece off up there and hold the rest. Try to let it get some opening strength here. Not gonna be a losing trade either way. I'm hoping gold continues back up, but still kind of learning the range of gold though, how big moves it makes on the upside and downside here. So trying to give this time though. We are now about 3 minutes into the day here. There we go. We're over 900s, which is good. I think the market and gold I think gold wants 4,000 is what I think. There we go. I'm gonna get out there. Right around the 200 exponential. I don't want it to reject here and come back down. what it's starting to do. Look at the NASDAQ rip here, chat. Look how flat Nvidia is today, too. Risk management is probably the right move. You know, you don't have to take every big move the market gives you. It's pretty close to the opening bell, so it's hard to capitalize on that opening move. Like, you got to understand, you might have people that really pressure one side. Nobody freaking knows. And when they're right, they're going to act like geniuses, and when they're wrong, they're going to keep kind of doubling down until they're right. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it goes. That's how traders are. They want to be right, you know. And so they kind of push. But nobody freaking knows what the market's going to do. We don't know if we're going up, down, or sideways. We can guess. You got a 50-50 shot of being right. Or I guess a 33% chance of being right if we go sideways, if you include sideways action. But either way, just understand, especially after the opening bell, we just passed 5 minutes into the open. There's a lot of variance. You know. Yeah, ultimately, as with most things, it depends on what Mag 7 does. Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google. You know, it's gonna depend on what they do. That's leading the market right now. Yeah, I mean, Ramsey, to be honest, just a friendly warning. You're getting a little bit too emotional about stuff on either side. So just friendly warning. NASDAQ's starting to push up. Just broke highs of the day again. I think it was highs of the day. Yeah, so NASDAQ just broke highs of the day. Got up to 840s. Yeah, listen, I'm not saying he's wrong. It's just, I have a simple rule. Nothing's definitive. If you pressure people to do one thing, you know, it's usually bad. I think you got to give a degree of, like, unknown in there. You got to say, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. This is my thesis. That's fine. But if you're like, this is going to happen, you know, sell now, buy now, I think that's just pressure tactics. It's unnecessary. It's not healthy either, regardless of what we do, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. Just understand, guys, nothing's absolute markets. Nobody freaking knows, and you got a 50-50 shot of guessing the opening direction, usually. And NASDAQ just broke highs of the day. It doesn't mean we're not going to come back down. Again, we're at the whim of Mag 7. If Nvidia starts to tank, market might start to tank. If Apple starts to rip, market might start to rip, you know. Yeah, Bitcoin up to 117.4s. Intel up. Yeah, Apple flying up at the open. One of the most heavily weighted stocks. We're at the whim of blue chips. My analysis is right. Watch tomorrow. I will accept some apologies. Didn't you say we would crash yesterday and the day before? Yeah, we got Tesla deliveries at 10 a.m. or at usually it's at 9 a.m. It's gonna be on Friday. Tesla flying up as well. Tesla almost at 450s. Look at this 815 level. I've liked playing this level a bunch. But we'll see. If you keep throwing darts at a dartboard, I mean, listen, you know. Tesla up. Yeah. Listen, y'all don't need my validation, guys. It's all right. Like, listen, I'm just some guy. Top 3 worst ever. A lot of people say, you know. Some say I'm the top 3 greatest ever. Let me know which one I am in the chat right now. We'll see, you know. It's an emotional day. The government shut down here, you know. It's not Friday. Government ain't got no jobs. And they don't have ish to do except sit around and talk about the government shutdown. Most practical, I try, you know. Mid? Okay, I'll take mid, you know. Some of you guys understand the reference I just made to Friday, the movie. You know, some of you guys don't. That's okay. All right, guys. So in 4 minutes, we've got, I think it's just manufacturing PMI. Hold on. I think it's S&P Global Manufacturing PMI data. Yeah, a couple Fridays ago, I posted a really, what I thought was really funny, because it was Friday. We didn't have any jobs because the jobs report was down. And I posted a Friday meme with Smokey in it. Nobody understood it, you know. At least a small percentage of people. Not enough people understood it, which means I'm getting old, is what I realized. Anyways, we in 4 minutes we have S&P Global. I think it's, yeah, S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. It's expected at 52. We got the larger ISM PMI at 10 a.m. in about 20 minutes. So we will get ready for that. My tail end boomer, so none of you kids make any sense to me. I'll get off your lawn, bro. I'll get off your lawn. That's all I'm saying. All right, here. Let me reschedule this stream. Yeah, we got 2.5 minutes. I don't think the first one's gonna move markets. All right, guys, 2 minutes. Markets are kind of quiet. They're not really doing much. NASDAQ is kind of slowed down. All right, guys. Here we go. We got about a minute left. I don't think this first one's going to move markets. Again, it's expected at 52. We'll see if it holds. But what is this music? Maybe I should start a democracy here about music. Does the market crash in the next year? Do we enter a recession in the next year? That's the big two, I think. All right, guys, here we go. We got 25 seconds left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Catch up. The first release probably not going to be that influential. Maybe it is more influential since the other economic data is going to get shut down this week. But it's expected at 52. It drops in about 10 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. We'll see what happens here. And here's the release right in about 4 seconds. All right, guys, manufacturing PMI 52 versus expected 52. As expected for manufacturing PMI 52 versus expected 52. Previous was 53. Again, global manufacturing 52 versus expected 52. It's right here. Yeah, if you guys remember, I've got 2 really bad calls over the last few years. I mean, it doesn't happen often, and so, I got to bring attention to the times it doesn't. I'm usually right about top 3 almost everything. But seriously, though, I thought gold looked weak at 2,000. As much as I hate to admit this, I did. The problem with gold is that it can downtrend for decades, and I'm too scared of getting caught in a long-term downtrend. I still made money on the upside on gold, but yeah, I thought gold was sketchy at 2,000. That was one of them. The other one was I thought GameStop was a short at $4. Top 3 most wrong ever because, yeah. Yeah, you got to be able to laugh at when you're wrong. I think it's important. We're pretty much flat here, though, chat. Apple's kind of coming back down. I still think gold wants 4,000 now. Listen, I made money on the long side on GameStop. Once the squeeze started happening, I pivoted to the other end and made money on the long side. Just to clarify. But when I thought gold was about to fail, like most people did, or not gold, I'm sorry, GameStop. I thought GameStop was about to fail, like almost everybody. And reasonably looking at it, like if you look at it objectively, not including squeeze potential, everybody wants to act like it was an obvious short squeeze. But nobody knew it was going to squeeze like that before the short squeeze started. And so, GameStop at the time, terrible company. Failing, digital video games taking over. So I still stand by it. But I have to kind of laugh at it. I think gold might go up to 4,000 and then come right back down. Is what I think. Yeah, I told the story a lot, but I was in GameStop. I wrote it up to like $500 a share. And I had this is the first time one of my streams had thousands of people there. So I was excited. I was like, oh, people are watching my GameStop stream. And then I sold at like 450 or 500, and everybody got so upset. They're like, this guy doesn't support us. Let's get out of here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. And in hindsight, it was the top. So, You know, we never saw those levels again. And I'm a huge paper hands anyway, so I still stand by that too. Yeah, GameStop might be benefiting from Pokemon. The problem is that they don't give you that much money for it. Here's the problem with the GameStop Pokemon dynamic, is that GameStop gives you like 60% of what it's worth. Most people that have Pokemon cards are just going to find somebody willing to buy them at 90%, you know, 95%. And GameStop ain't giving you that. They're not giving you that. And so people that actually know how to sell those things are never going to go to GameStop. It's only going to be people that are oblivious to value, and half of them are probably stolen and they're just going to go sell them at GameStop, you know, probably. And so I don't know how much GameStop's really going to make from that. I think the interest of people selling them Pokemon cards, it might benefit their revenue, but is it going to be significant enough to pull them out of the hole that they're currently in? I don't know. Yeah, NASDAQ turning down here. See if the red continues. Yeah, there's a good chance we get chop if they got a meeting done at the end of the day. Or not, what is it, at 11 a.m.? So... I mean, the opening bell is right here. And maybe you're right. Look, like I said, it's not about whether you're right or wrong about whether we end red or green on the day. You're saying we're going to crash today. This is not a crash at all, you know. Even if we look at the SPY or NASDAQ here, you've got to be the other guy that got banned here. You've got to be the same guy. But here's the SPY. Here's the open. We're actually net green from the opening bell now. And so I think there's a good chance we go sideways. Maybe we drop. It's certainly possible we drop. It's not about whether you're right or wrong, like I said. It's just about, don't pressure people to do either one. There's too much variance in trading to do so. Even if you're right, right? Like, it's just, it's risky. They're supposed to meet and discuss. They're going to try to pass the same stopgap measure that was rejected yesterday. So the House Speaker Johnson said there's a chance that we get it passed today. I don't know how great the chance is, though. I don't know how great the chance is. Again, somebody said earlier it was almost 100% likely that they're going to pass the stopgap bill later. I don't know about that. I don't think it's anywhere near that. I think if they didn't agree on it last night, they're probably not going to agree on it today. And so it's just less likely. Less likely. All right, guys, we got 8 minutes before manufacturing data comes out. Yeah, I'm just waiting. Yeah, you can have AI write custom code, you know. Yeah, I'm developing stuff in the background and algorithms. Yeah, I haven't even. My problem is I don't look at them enough. Hold on, where do they go? Gold. Let me see what the NASDAQ's doing. I mean, the NASDAQ one is not bad. Dude, look at this. So here's one of the NASDAQ ones I'm building. Look at that. This one caught the bottom. This one was wrong. This one was right. Look at that top. Worked. This one probably didn't work, but it depends on where you look at it. Look at that one worked. That one worked. That one worked. This one didn't. This one didn't. This one did. This one didn't. This one did. This one did. This one did. This one did. This one probably did. This one did. This one did. This one did. This one did. One is kind of hit or miss. I can say no. But yeah, you can see most of them work. Still building it, though. President nominates Travis Hill to be chair of the FDIC, according to Bloomberg. ISM data get expected at 10 a.m. Manufacturing PMI was just 52. So, again, NASDAQ back up here. It is expected at what, 49? Previous of... Yeah, last time it was 48.7. This one they're expecting 49. All right, NASDAQ's right back up, technically green since the opening bell. Again, I think a sideways trend makes sense. All right, 5 minutes. All right, guys. 4 minutes. If you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. No PDT and futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, Gold. Great way to learn. And most day traders lose money. $50 a month is the base one. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account. If you fail it, you lose $50. 90% split once you're funded. You get to keep your first 10K in profit. It's very similar to funding your own account. And most day traders lose money, so it's the best of both worlds. Their back to funding option keeps you the same rules in the funded account you had versus others that change the rules to be more strict if you go straight to funding. And so I think there's a lot of use in that. If you want to check it out, here's the link. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them, so I'm biased, of course. Understand all this stuff on screen. Not an investment professional. With that said, NASDAQ's still pushing up. SPY's pushing up. We got the ISM manufacturing data going live in 3.5 minutes. Yeah, I think gold wants 4,000 just psychologically, but who knows? Yeah. All right, NASDAQ's back up. Again, flat, open. We're very sideways. We got 3 minutes. Market might be waiting for ISM. I would like Lab more, or ALAB, if it didn't go up such ridiculous amounts this year. Right? Like, if something has a consistent, like, safer history of gains and losses, I would like it a lot more on this pullback for ALAB. But ALAB has gone from $140 down to $47, all the way back up to $260, and then back down to $180s. Now, continuation, it looks like a trend continuation buy here, but I don't like it enough to do it. Too risky for me. It's a little bit too up there. Big risk, big reward, though. So, good luck. Not an investment professional. Don't copy me. Yeah, I mentioned that, Doug. Yeah, so generally speaking, government shutdown news, we sell off into the news of the government shutdown, and then once we actually shut down, markets are usually green. Last time they did 10%, it was a rebound from, I think it was like 6% down plus 4%. Or we ended 4% up during the government shutdown. So, all right, guys, we got a minute and a half. All right, here we go. Let's see what this data shows. All right, less than a minute. Less than a minute. Hit the like button next to the play button. Make sure you catch up on the stream. We appreciate it. Again, we got a very flat opening bell. 20 seconds left here, chat. 20 seconds. All right, here we go. ISM data expected at 49. It drops in 10 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream, chat. We appreciate it. And here's the release. All right, ISM manufacturing PMI 49.1 versus 49. 49.1 versus 49. Prices ended up showing at 61.9 versus expected 62.7. So kind of flat data. Not the biggest. But NASDAQ's actually reacting positively to it. 49.1 versus expected 49. A little bit higher than expected there. ISM manufacturing PMI. Price is 61.9 versus expected 62.7. So. Neutral data. Yeah, it's neutral. Again, we got a very flat day. Wait, am I green? Almost green. We'll see what happens here. NASDAQ's going up and down, up and down. I want to see if gold continues to rebound up, but we'll give it a second. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. Tomorrow is day 2 of the government shutdown. Yeah, so government shutdown day 2 for tomorrow. Here we get. Go look at that gold. I still think gold might be increasing here. As long as, like, again, they're supposed to speak at 11. Was Kramer right about gold? What could be the catalyst for the decisive move up or down? Whether the shutdown continues. Yeah, whether the shutdown continues is going to influence things a lot. You know. Shutdown continues, of course, we could see gold fall down and NASDAQ rip up. If vice versa happens, it just depends. I hope they get the government shutdown, like, squashed. I hope they do good with this, but We'll see. I tend to hope they get a deal done, you know. All right, so we're actually pretty green on the day now. I'm sorry, I'm in a gold trade. I'll put it up real quick. We're up about 100 on the day in gold specifically. I've been doing better trading gold. But listen, guys, as soon as we close this stream, it's immediately going to bring you guys to tomorrow's stream. We'll see what happens with this government shutdown. Again, we'll see. ISM data came out mostly flat, not really like the biggest crazy report here. Manufacturing PMI should have been 49.1. I'll put it up in chat right here. Nice. All right, guys, let me get out of here. Again, I'm going to close the stream. I expect you guys to wait until tomorrow. No music. Focused. I'll stay on my stream until tomorrow. Hit the subscribe button. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.